All right, hi everyone, and welcome to Explore UT 2021. Thanks for tuning into our panel today. This is Exploring Majors at UT Austin. In this panel, you'll hear from current Longhorns reflecting on how they chose their major, what that journey was like for them, and some advice on finding your own way. So let's get started with introductions. Panelists, please share your name, what year you are, your major, and your hometown. So let's start with Amanda.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda. I'm currently a senior here at UT, and I majored in Spanish and accounting for my undergrad, and I'm doing a one-year master's program in accounting as well. And I'm from Keller, Texas.
Hi, everybody. My name is Helen, and I'm from Sugar Land. It's a suburb of Houston, and I'm a senior nursing major at UT.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ishita Bhatti. I'm a junior here at UT, and I'm double majoring in chemical engineering and finance, and my hometown is Allen, Texas.
Hey guys, my name is Netta. I'm a junior here at UT, and I'm a public health major from Houston, Texas.
Well, thank you all for spending your Saturday morning with me. Let's get started off with questions. So think back to when y'all were in high school. What majors were you considering and why?
In high school, sorry, go ahead.
You're good. I was going to say in high school, I was considering majors that are completely not what I ended up in, but I was considering chemical engineering mainly because I took one chemistry class and I really liked it. And then later I realized that the careers that lined up with chemical engineering weren't necessarily what I wanted to be doing, but that's kind of where I was looking when I was in high school.
I have a similar path. I was probably between 10 different majors in high school, like bio, business, pre-law, sustainability, whatever you name it. And I did so much research, and I feel like I had so many different passions, but not really the best idea of what I really wanted to do and really pursue and commit myself to.
Yeah, kind of hopping on the bandwagon here. I also had a lot of things I was interested in, still am. But I was primarily considering biomedical engineering or biochemistry, and I ended up doing something I think that's very different.
Yeah, I actually had a little bit of difficulty pinpointing one or two things that I was interested in. I really liked my biology class, my upper level biology senior year, so I was considering being a bio major here, and I was also looking at Plan 2 because the interdisciplinary approach seemed attractive to me at the time, but later during my time in college, I realized that my passions lie elsewhere.
So going off of that, when you got to college, can you tell us how you discovered your current major and why did you choose this one in particular, and how long did it take you to find that one? And anyone can start with that question.
I will say, oh my gosh.
We always do this.
At the same time. You go this time.
Okay, for me, choosing nursing was a really informed decision. My interest was first piqued when I was speaking with a girl in one of the nursing organizations at UT, and she mentioned her interest in travel nursing. And this is when I was largely undecided, and I knew I loved traveling and I loved medicine, so it seemed like a natural fit. But that night, I remember going home and doing research until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and just comparing all the different degree plans, looking up future salaries, seeking out experiences from people in that line of work. The next day, I talked to career counselors, advisors, whoever I could get my hands on to get information. But my decision was made when I looked over the degree plan ultimately, and I mean, really looked it over, and there was no sign of calculus. I mean, that's a joke, but I could really see myself in these classes, and I could see myself enjoying these classes. And that's really what decided it for me ultimately, because I knew I wanted to do what I love, but also not resent the coursework that it took to get me there.
And when did you end up declaring nursing? Like what year or semester were you in?
I applied the second semester of my freshman year. So I kind of decided it my first semester, and then I was able to apply for internal transfer my second semester. And over the summer, I heard back that I was accepted. So I was able to start taking my nursing courses my sophomore year.
Awesome. Someone else want to take and talk about their major exploration journey?
I was going to say that I'm glad that I got to spend my first year spending a little bit more time thinking about what I wanted to major in. And I took the approach of attending lots of information sessions about each of the majors and just listening to other people talk about their experiences in the major, as well as what the faculty and administration overseeing that major said about it. And that helped me a lot with, I had one idea of a major and what it would be versus what the info session said. And it was sometimes completely different from what I thought just from either the name or the few things I had heard about it. And I also spent a lot of time in academic advising, talking to career counselors and my academic advisor, who are two resources at UT that really help you with identifying things that you're good at, things that you really enjoy, and how to line those up with a degree plan. And I ended up applying to many different majors at the end of my freshman year and kind of choosing out of which ones I thought I liked the best based off of that information.
I can go next. So the reason I was so interested in biomedical engineering coming out of high school was I knew I wanted to work in healthcare, specifically in accessibility in healthcare, but I thought BME was the best way to do that. Spending a year undeclared at UT really allowed me to question that thinking and to really dive into what is the best way for me to move forward. I like Helen and Amanda, I talked to a lot of career and academic advisors. One thing that I think really helped me was speaking to upperclassmen in all the majors that I was interested in. And one thing that I think anyone can do in any university is use LinkedIn. I used LinkedIn to find people who were pursuing careers that I was very interested in, and I kind of stalked them to see what they studied in college. And that helped me get some clarity too. And I ultimately realized that what I wanted to do was a combination of chemical engineering and finance, which coming into UT with either one of those majors, I think I would have thought of my path as so fixed that I would never have thought to look beyond and consider the other majors. So I'm very glad I came undeclared and I had that room to think that.
Yeah, similarly to Ishi, I am super grateful that I entered as an undeclared student. I was initially pretty fixated on declaring as a biology major as soon as possible. But after taking intro to biology, although I loved it, I wasn't entirely confident that I wanted to spend the rest of my undergrad studying that in depth. So I started taking social science courses. I took an intro to psychology and I really liked it. So I considered psychology for a little bit. I considered neuroscience because I thought that it would be a more scientific, in-depth version of psychology. I also considered a lot of social science and science majors. My primary source of information, I would say, was also my career counselor and my academic advisor. I developed a really good relationship with him, and I met with him various times over the semester, and he went through my interests with me and he helped narrow down some majors that he thought I would be interested in. I used Wayfinder a lot to kind of narrow down. Wayfinder has a lot of information about the kind of skills that each major kind of requires or needs and what kinds of careers are involved in them, and just kind of a broad overview. So I utilized that, and I narrowed down my decision to public health because I really liked the mix of social sciences and also more physical or biological sciences. And I'm super happy with my decision.
Yeah, I'm glad you said Wayfinder because that's a resource that anyone, even I think if you're not at UT yet, or you may not end up at UT, I think it's still a resource that is helpful for people at all stages when they're looking into majors and careers. And that URL is wayfinder.utexas.edu. And it's nice to just click around and see what, I mean, there are so many majors at UT over, I mean, I think we're at over 125, 150 now. And it's, some of them you may not have even heard of yet. So it's fun to just click around Wayfinder. The next question I have for y'all is, what is your best advice for a high school student who may be unsure about their major and career path?
I can start. I would say that off the top of my head, what I wish I thought I would have done earlier is spend a little more time doing research on the things that I was interested in at the time to see if maybe I could get more clarification that that is what I would want to pursue, or maybe I should look at other things. So I would suggest utilizing resources like Wayfinder, or like Ishi said, go on LinkedIn, research people in the careers that interest you. I also used to like to go on YouTube and watch like day in the life of XYZ major. And that kind of helped me a little bit too. And the last thing I would say is check out the degree plans for the things that you're interested in at UT. And if you really want to go in depth, research the classes on the course schedule if possible. I'm not sure if that is, but to see if you could get a description of what the classes entail.
I totally agree with all of that. Definitely want to emphasize doing all the in-depth research about your interests if you haven't already, which I'm sure you guys are already doing, given that you're here watching this right now. But also, it's really important to talk to people in college, as many upperclassmen as possible, as many people as possible, especially people with similar interests. Talk to them about their passions, ask them about their career paths, and try to derive inspiration from it. If you can, join clubs that are related to what you think you might want to do, and then pick those people's brains and figure out why they're there. And I think doing those things and what Nada said will set all of you further ahead.
I want to hop in because I think your advice about talking to people in college is really appropriate, and so you may have older siblings or know people from your high school who are already in college, but we also have a resource for y'all if you'd like to talk to anyone on this Zoom call, or we have about a dozen other students who are more than happy to talk to you about their experience. And you can email ugs.alumni@austin.utexas.edu to be matched with a current student to talk about major exploration, and if you have any more questions after today too. Amanda and Ishi, if y'all want to share your advice too, please go for it.
I think advice that I would have liked to hear when I was a senior in high school is that it's totally okay to not have it figured out right now. A lot of times I think I felt like my friends and other people in college just seemed to know what they wanted to do already, and I felt really behind. And honestly, you realize later that a lot of them didn't have it figured out. And I have a friend that transferred from chemical engineering to, I think, ancient history. And I had a friend that transferred from some kind of infectious diseases studies. I think he was a biology major, and he switched to German and linguistics. And so I think it's totally fine to not have it figured out quite yet. And honestly, I would say even now, I don't have everything 100% figured out, and no one really does. So I wouldn't stress too hard and really pressure yourself to figure things out right this second, because you'll figure it out in your own time, and that's totally okay. Stay on your own timeline and not anyone else's.
Amanda basically said exactly what I was going to say. My two big pieces of advice are keep exploring and do not freak out. Right? Keep exploring is just what Helen and Nada have been saying. Talk to people, do your research, dive into degree plans and go to info sessions. Utilize the resources that you do have at your disposal, but also do not freak out. Like imposter syndrome can be very real, and you may feel like you're the only one who does not have it figured out, but you would be surprised at how many people not only don't know what they want to do, but change their major at least once in college. I don't want to throw a percentage out there that might be wrong, but it's ridiculously high. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? Anyone who comes to college with a major, we all think we want to do something, but you're never going to be able to test whether that's really what you like until you come to college and you start taking those classes and you do research in that major, you talk to the professors. So don't freak out at all. Even if you decide you like a major, doesn't mean your career has to line up with that, right? Like a lot of us here are upperclassmen and we're thinking about recruiting for full-time jobs. And even there you realize there can be a job that fits a certain description and people from all kinds of different majors can apply to that job. So the world really is your oyster and you do not have to figure it out right now or even in the next 4 years. Just focus on what you enjoy.
Yeah, I love that advice. Is there something that surprised you about college that you'd maybe want to tell a high school student right now to kind of prepare for?
I think I'm going to go off the coattails of what Amanda and Ishi were saying about how nobody really has it figured out. And that's the funny thing about college is that like no matter how secure it might seem like everybody is, we're all still figuring that out, whether it's academically, emotionally, socially. And especially as a freshman, we all have our individual struggles, whether that be with choosing a major or deciding a career path. And so if you find yourself struggling at any point, just know you're not alone. And there's so many other people in a similar position as you in that struggle.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
I think I was surprised at just like how many opportunities there are once you arrive on campus. There's so many different organizations to join and so many different things to get involved in. And I hadn't thought about much outside of just your major, but there are so many other things that you can also think about for your college experience that are very worthwhile. And so, you know, I got involved in lots of organizations once I got here, but I was definitely overwhelmed by the first organization fair I went to, just seeing how many different things that you can join here there are. And I think that's also a really good thing though, because there's something for everybody.
To piggyback off of Amanda, I was going to say that I was also pleasantly surprised with the amount of just resources in general that is on this campus. It's become really evident to me that UT offers so many things to ensure your success here, like academically and in other areas of your life, whether it be the Writing Center to help you with your papers and things like that, or the Vic Center, which is the place that you seek academic major related resources or career related resources, or it's almost, I can't name them all because there's so many, it's almost overwhelming to try and figure out what resources you want to use, but I don't really see that as a problem, or if it is, it's like a good problem because you can get help on anything you need outside of academics included, which I think is really important for maintaining a healthy like balance as a college student.
I think what surprised me was just realizing how big the world is and how much is out there that I never considered before, academic and beyond, right? Like in high school, I think we get comfortable with just the kind of environment we're in, the kind we know, but you come to college and you're exposed to virtually every personality, people of different cultures and backgrounds, especially at a place as big and diverse as UT. I think it was really exciting to realize how much is out there to explore and learn. And yeah, I think it can be overwhelming because there's just so much new stuff being thrown your way, all these student orgs and cultures even, and majors that you did not know existed. But there's definitely something out there for everyone, like Amanda said.
Is there anything you'd do different your first year or first semester, looking back on it?
Honestly, I would have studied less and stressed less and enjoyed Austin a little bit more. I was definitely a little bit kind of pigeonholed into academics, and I really wanted to do well, which I think is a great thing, but I took it a little too far. So I would have tried to relax a little bit more and do some other things.
I feel like Amanda and I have so much of the same advice because that's exactly what I was going to say. It can feel really important to get the major you want and go where you need to go, but we mean it when we say don't freak out, because things will work out one way or another. So I definitely would not have stressed so much. Definitely would have taken things a little easier.
I definitely feel the same way. I feel like I really had an intense focus on academics my freshman year, but freshman year is just such a blank slate in the best possible way, that you're really doing yourself a disservice if you're not making yourself get out of your comfort zone and say yes to all the good opportunities that present themselves. So of course, studying is important, but also take care of yourself and have those fun college experiences that you came here for.
Just like everyone else already mentioned, I also wish that I took a little bit more time to step away from school and enjoy all the things that Austin has to offer. But one thing that I definitely would have done differently is try to learn a little bit more about time management. I can't speak for anyone else, but I personally had a little bit of difficulty with creating a schedule for myself, and setting aside time for me and time for school and study time. So it's not super imperative during your first semester because you're still getting into the hang of things, but maybe have it in the back of your mind so that you're not struggling for the entirety of your thing. But I definitely wish I would have looked a little more into that, because UT has a lot of time management resources that you can use and get information from.
Yeah, it really sounds like, all of you were able to find balance at some point, but, there is a lot of stress put on you, trying to find your major and going to college for the first time, and all of that's thrown at you with all of these resources. And so just taking a breather and knowing that things will work out in the end, that seems to be the common thread of this conversation today. So I think that's a good thing to hear this morning. All right. So our last question is, if you could go back to high school and tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
We were kind of talking about it earlier, but I would probably tell myself to ease up a little and stop comparing myself to my peers, because more likely than not, they don't have it figured out either, even if it might seem that they do. Definitely embrace the uncertainty, because it can lead to so many different positive opportunities that you might not get otherwise if you just are decided and in a major. So embrace that uncertainty. It's completely normal to not know what you want to do right now at 17, 18 years of age, even if it might seem frustrating right now. Just try to embrace that uncertainty.
Yeah, I think I would also echo just the conversation we had a couple of minutes ago about just, it doesn't need to all be sorted out right now. definitely takes more time than it seems like when it's presented to you in the form of you need to pick a college and you need to check the box next to at least one major and go with it. And you're like, I'm so young. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing or if I'll like it and that kind of thing. And so my advice to myself definitely would have been, take more time then. If you don't know what you want to do, then take the time you need. Like, you deserve to have all the time in the world to figure it out on your own, and just don't force yourself to pick something just for the sake of having it picked, because it's more important that you find something you enjoy than to just have something to say that you are as a major.
Yeah, related to that discussion, I'd say relax and take a chance. There's so much out there. I met some of my best friends at UT just because I took on a random opportunity or a fun activity that like Helen said, I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone to explore, and I'm so glad I did. I think I was going to say something. Definitely relax. And oh yeah, life is about balance, right? It's not all find your career and find your major and keep running after that. If there's anything this pandemic has taught us, now more than ever, mental health really matters, and balance matters, unplugging matters. So do things that literally just make you happy, even if they're not going to be a resume booster or it's going to have some kind of inherent benefit for your career. Balance is super important, and this is the best way to explore what balance works for you as a person.
I love
Aside,
that.
Sorry, Helen. I was going to say, aside from what all the other panelists have said, which I 100% resonate with, I would also tell myself to be comfortable with the fact that not every pathway has to be a linear pathway, because I was personally super fixated on declaring a major as a biology major, going to med school, being a doctor, and then just, a very strict pathway. But after talking to other students, other professors, other upperclassmen, it's become very evident that the traditional pathway to some careers is not as common as people may think. And I had no idea. People jump around from majors, people end up in careers that are completely unrelated to their majors, or people may take a long, twisted pathway to get to where they are, and it's usually ended up working out perfectly for them. So I wish that I knew that beforehand, so I could have spent a little less time stressing about it as an undergrad.
Right. Well, if that's it, y'all, I really appreciate you spending, your Saturday and sharing your stories with us. Thanks to everyone for watching, and we really all hope to see you on the 40 acres in the future. So welcome and have a great day.